Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Two-Man Game. As always, I'm Cohen. Got here my co-host Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing? I know it's been a little bit of an up and down night for you, and I know tomorrow is a big day. So let me know how you're doing.
You know, man, we'll get to why it's been kind of a crap night in the sports world, but I'm getting my wisdom teeth taken out tomorrow. If anyone doesn't know, I'm 25 years old. I know most people get them out, when they're 18, but we kind of procrastinate a bit. And, when you're 25 and you're almost off your parents' insurance, maybe it's a good idea to get them out. So
Yeah,
here we are. I'm going to get them out tomorrow. I'm going to be down for the count. Before we recorded this, we recorded a midweek episode to post at some point where we did kind of like a game style thing. So that way, if anything crazy happens while I'm down for the count, that, we're not outdated in any kind of way. But other than that, man, I'm pretty good. And then I was like kind of happy for tonight. I knew Maxey was likely going to make the All-Star team, which he did. And we're going to talk about some All-Star stuff. And then I got the news like right before it happened. Like that's the epitome of being a Sixers fan is whenever something's going good, you just get stabbed right in the heart. Right.
It was almost right as like they happened simultaneously, the Maxey thing and then the Embiid news that we just got that it's a meniscus tear, lateral meniscus injury. I don't know what the difference is. So
basically what's happening is the Sixers medical team isn't going to release the severity of it or what they think the prognosis is and what their treatment plan is going to be because they don't want to cause everyone to freak out.
Yeah.
So clearly this got leaked and they're just like, oh well, we'll just see how he feels after the weekend when dude's got a torn ligament in his knee. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. I guess. I mean, he'd had this problem before, and then they just did it's called a meniscectomy. I think that's how you say it, which is basically just like not a full surgical repair. And it takes 3 to 6 weeks to recover versus like the 6 months that a full meniscus repair would take. So there's a chance they could do that and maybe just try to see if it's going to heal on its own a bit. I don't know, man, but I'm really worried for my Sixers, man. They were the 3 seed forever. And now we're kind of falling down the standings. I think as of recording this, we're the 5 seed. We're recording this before the Jazz game. So who knows how that went? Hopefully we won. Who knows? I have this 75-year-old man I work with, or not work with, but he's a patient. And he wears a Sixers hat every day. And he comes in, he goes, man, our Sixers, man. Like it's because he knows I'm a Sixers fan. Every single time it's so funny. So I'm sad that I don't get to see him until next week because we don't get to talk about Embiid. But if there's the 1.00% chance homie's watching this, our Sixers, man. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's really disappointing because obviously Embiid, if he had stayed healthy, was going to win back-to-back MVPs. Now with his injury, he's not going to win the award, and just he's having one of the best seasons I've personally ever seen from an individual player. Hopefully he's back and healthy again for the playoffs. I know injuries always seem to strike him at the worst times in the playoffs too. Fingers crossed that somehow he's able to recover. It makes the season a bit more interesting for the Sixers in general too, because now what do you do at the deadline? Do you try and commit to stuff, but you don't know when Embiid's going to be back or how healthy he's going to be? Do you now wait until the offseason when Embiid's going to be healthy? What does it mean for the Olympics where it seemed like Embiid was going to play? I don't know. It puts everything up in the air, and it sucks for one of the best players in the league that he's now dealing with all this stuff. So the Embiid stuff is the first thing we wanted to cover. But like Ryan alluded to, All-Star reserves were also announced tonight. So we're going to go through and talk about that. But real quick, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the episode. Shows a lot of support. Y'all have been showing a lot of support recently. We appreciate it. Comment down below some of your biggest snubs for the All-Star game. And also let us know what you think about some of the trade deadline news. Make some predictions. We're going to be doing a trade deadline preview after we talk about the All-Star reserves. And of course, next week when Ryan's good to go because the deadline is a week from today. So we'll probably just drop a podcast reacting to all the deadline stuff on that next Friday morning after the deadline, which is February 8th. I think it's right around 3 p.m. Eastern. So you'll probably see an episode then because Ryan's going to be going through the wisdom teeth stuff. So if you're looking for our reactions to trades, it'll be coming out at that point. But let's go and talk about All-Star reserves. I've got a tweet pulled up that has all of the All-Star reserves. I should probably have us in there too. So these are the All-Star rosters in total. Luka, Kevin Durant, Shea, LeBron, and Jokic were the starters in the West. In the East, Giannis, Embiid, Tyrese, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum. Embiid is obviously not going to be playing in this game, so there will have to be at least one injury replacement. And there'll probably be a
Julius
second
Randle,
one.
right?
Yeah, Julius Randle probably also won't play, so there'll probably be 2. So we can also talk about who should be in those spots. But let's start in the Western Conference. The reserves announced tonight were Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kawhi, and Karl Anthony Towns. Ryan, who's your biggest snub, right off the bat?
Biggest snub, I think it's got to be a Sacramento King, man. I think the fact there was no Fox or Sabonis, I think one of them probably should have been on there.
Yeah, I agree.
But it kind of goes to the question, because when you talk about snub, like everyone talks about snubs, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, where's so and so? Where's so and so?" But like,
Yeah.
who are you taking off? So if you're gonna put a Sacramento King on this roster, which player are you gonna take off?
Probably, I would have had Sabonis or Fox over Cat if you ask me.
I agree.
I would have had one of those two guys on there. And Cat's been great this season. He's having a phenomenal year. The Timberwolves are up there as the 1 seed. I get it. But at the same time, I just don't know if he's been that much better than either of those guys in Sacramento, who are both playing at a ridiculous level. And they're the 5 seed right now. It's not like they're like an 8 seed or something like that. They're the 5 seed at the moment. And Sabonis is putting up near a triple double, one of the top playmakers and rebounders in the entire league. I think he leads the NBA double doubles, if I remember correctly. Fox is putting up 27 points per game. He's been amazing, best 3-point shooting year of his career. I just feel like you've got to give one of the Sacramento Kings that spot. It's not like neither one of them are impressive statistically or they're bad. They're both really good statistically and they're playing some great basketball. Like with the Pelicans, because they don't get an all-star either, they're the 7th seed, which is only a couple spots down. But like CJ, Ingram, and Zion are all having like really good seasons, but none of them are putting up these ridiculous numbers. So I get them not having an all-star representative, but not having a Sacramento King feels crazy to me. This list that they have here was my exact list, except instead of Cat, it was De'Aaron Fox. And if you want to put Sabonis on here over Paul George too, I wouldn't hate that. PG's playing great. I like Paul George on here more than I like Cat on here. And that's not to say that Cat has been bad this season, because he hasn't. Just for me personally, I think the Kings deserved at least one guy, whether it was Fox, it was Sabonis. They could have gone either way, and I wouldn't have been mad. It's just disappointing that neither one of them makes it in the West. So
I saw someone on Twitter complaining, and I think they were a Timberwolves fan. They said, if any of our centers were going to make it, it should have been Rudy Gobert. Do you think Gobert would have deserved it over Towns? And I've also seen a lot of Şengün snubbery from Rockets fans as well.
Yeah, I knew Şengün wasn't going to make it. I know Rockets fans have been pushing that, and it would have been cool to see Şengün make it. I just think right now, like, because the Rockets are the 11 seed at the moment, right there with the Warriors for the 12 spot. So they're down the standings, and he doesn't have the stats over Cat, or his stats are pretty similar to Cat's. I think he might have a little bit of an advantage, but they're not better than like Sabonis. They're not better than De'Aaron Fox. They're not better than, Paul George, who's playing right now on a team that's fighting for one of the 1 seeds in the conference. I like Şengün. I think he's been all-star a lot of times. This year just was a little bit premature, if you ask me. And I know you talked about like Gobert. I could have seen Gobert over Cat. Cat's obviously the more, offensively oriented guy. He's got the more impressive stats. But if we're talking impact, probably the biggest reason why they are the number 1 defense is Gobert. He's probably going to win Depoy. So I might even lean Gobert over Cat at this point. I know a lot of people were upset about Wemby. His team's just really bad right now. He doesn't play a lot of games. He was never going to make it on this list. Chet wasn't going to make it on here. I know a lot of Thunder fans were upset about that, but he just didn't have the numbers to match up with a lot of these guys. This Western Conference is one of the most stacked in terms of just individual talent that I've ever seen. Like, no Jamal Murray, and he really wasn't even in the consideration. No Kyrie Irving either. He hasn't played a lot of games, but a player of his caliber, like, not being in this conversation would have been even tougher if we had John Morant playing. Which, he's hardly played. No James Harden, who's been great so far. No Lauri Markkanen. That's another name. Lowry's been so good this season. The Jazz are a top 10 seed. If Lowry had made it, I wouldn't have been surprised, but he doesn't make it on here. I know a lot of people are upset about.
He missed some games too recently.
Yeah, Lowry did miss some games here and there. I know a lot of people are upset about there being 2 Lakers, but LeBron and AD have been good enough individually to the point where I think they probably should be on this list. If you want to talk about, an issue in terms of representation, like, oh, maybe the Kings should have had a guy over one of those, then sure, we can have that conversation. But just, I think it does make sense that they have 2 people on here. So
now the East, I have a really hot take about the East.
Okay.
I think Trae Young might be the biggest all-star snub from either team. And my thing about it is I know he's a starter, but I think Trae Young should be on the team over Damian Lillard. I know he's a starter, but I saw this like side-by-side comparison of their seasons they're having, and it's like not even close that Trae washes Dame in almost every stat. I know the Bucks are a little bit better, but Dame's statistically having like a really subpar season for his standards, like his from efficiency standpoint. And the Bucks under Doc Rivers have yet to win a game.
Yeah, they lost last night in Dame's homecoming to Portland.
Which is also really bad. I feel that's also such a bad loss.
Did you see the last play of that game?
No, I fell asleep. I saw everyone saying like Doc Rivers writing up last plays and they were making memes, and it was nice that they weren't talking about my team.
Yeah, so the last play of the game, they are down 3. Simon sets a shot to go in and put them up 1. Dame it seems like Dame's going to hit a game winner. It just feels like it. They're down 1 at that point, and the ball gets to Damian Lillard. He steps back for a 3, but they send 2 guys towards him, so he kicks it over to Brook Lopez, who pump fakes, and then one guy rotates over, and it seems like Dame probably has the opportunity to get the ball back and shoot a 3, but instead, Brook Lopez shoots a step back 3 and misses. Blazers get the rebound. They go ahead and get fouled. They hit both free throws. And for some reason, the players have Dame inbounding the ball to Giannis, which makes sense if you're going to immediately give the ball back to Dame. Like, it should just be a catch and immediately throw it back. Yeah. But instead, Dame inbounds the ball to Giannis, who starts running up the court, and they intentionally foul, which you knew they were going to do. And so now it puts Giannis out of all people at the line. He misses the first one, so they're still down 3. He tries to miss the second one on purpose. He does, and they end up, the rebound, I think, just gets tossed around a little bit, lands in the hands of Portland. They just kind of let it go, and the game's over. So they lose. If you're going to have Dame inbound, get him the ball back immediately. But more importantly, like, if they're going to, they're going to foul almost immediately, just have the ball inbounded to Dame. And there were some people saying, like, oh, when Dame hit his game winner against the Kings, that's what they did. They had Dame inbound the ball. But it was different because that game they were down 2, so they couldn't just foul you.
Yep.
Like, you could give it to Dame, have him run ahead with a full head of steam, and that's exactly what they did. He hit the game winner. This situation, it just didn't make sense. And Doc Rivers, after the game, had a crazy explanation that I want to go ahead and find exactly.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I just saw people memeing him, so I kind of want to see this.
Yeah, let me see. Where is it? Let me see. Doc Rivers. Okay. So this is coming from Wob on Twitter. So his explanation for inbounding to Giannis, he says, if Giannis could make the first, he liked his chances of Giannis getting the rebound from the intentionally missed second with no one in front of him. So his hope was that Giannis would hit the first as a bad free throw shooter and then be able to miss the second one well enough to get his own rebound, and he felt like he had the best shot. I feel like you just give the ball to Dame, who's probably going to hit the first one. You put Giannis on the block to go up there and grab the rebound, like get a tip in. I feel like that makes more sense.
Or Dame's the type of guy who could get a 3 up in transition, I feel like.
Like they might be afraid to foul him because they're cool with fouling Giannis, because even if he shoots 3s, you foul him, he's not a great shooter. Like, if you give it to Dame and he finds a way to bait them into fouling him on a shot, it's like, it's more dangerous. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand the reasoning for it. It's already a Doc Rivers moment for the Bucks. I know this is a bit of a tirade, but I didn't understand it. And I tweeted about it, and some Bucks fans were angry, like, oh, we did this with the Kings game winner and this and that, but it was a different scenario. So anyways, but I agree. I think I made my all-star picks video like a few days before this. I didn't have Dame on my list. I don't think I would have had Dame. I would have had Donovan Mitchell as a starter over Damian Lillard, maybe even Jalen Brunson now, with the fact that the Knicks have moved up to a top 3 seed. I don't think I would have had Dame on here. He's not playing terrible. It's just not up to typical Dame standards. And with how stacked the guard position is in the Eastern Conference right now, I don't think he's playing better than any of the other guys on here. And Trae Young's been better. Like, Trae Young, it sucks that he got snubbed. And he probably will be the first guy to make it in as an all-star with the injury replacements, but he shouldn't have had to make it on.
Well, I had 2 things about that. One, both the guys that are going to be injured are going to be bigs in Randall and Embiid. So are they going to pick other bigs, or would they just do positionless?
So I imagine they'll pick one front court guy, but typically it doesn't matter. Like, I think a few years ago, Zion got replaced with Devin Booker or something like that. Like, there was some I
think Sabonis was a replacement for a guard 1 year or something like that too. That sounds familiar. I could be making that up, but
yeah, there's been we've seen stuff like that happen before. So I imagine, if I had to guess, I think Scotty Barnes and Trae Young are the 2 guys who end up making it on there.
That was actually going to be my next topic of point. Do you think Scotty Barnes is more deserving than Paolo? That was a question. That was something I was wondering.
There is an argument. I saw a lot of people, some of the most upset people about the Eastern Conference were upset about Paolo. I mean, he's been the best player in the Magic. Like, sure, they're the 8th seed, but they're right up there with the Heat for the 7th spot. They're only 2 games back of the 6th seed. Like, they were one of the top teams for a majority of the season. He's been great defensively. He's putting up good numbers. I think Paolo's a good pick. I picked Paolo to go ahead and make it. I think he's been really good. I don't blame them for putting Paolo on here. Like, if they'd wanted to go with, like, maybe Scotty Barnes, I wouldn't have hated it. Now the Raptors are way down the standings at the 12th spot. So, and they're 7.5 games back of the Magic. It's not like it's a slight difference. They're way behind them at this point. I do think Scotty's deserving. And if they put him on here as a reserve in the injury replacement, I think that's cool. Like, I would love to see Scotty on here. I think I do lean Paolo a little bit over him. So now I would imagine Scotty and Trae Young are the first 2.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I figure they're not bad because I know his mate has been out for a while. What are your thoughts on, like, a Jarrett Allen sneaking onto the team if they picked him?
I do like Jared Allen as a pickup. I believe Jared Allen should be in some depoy talks. And I talked about this in my Cavs video recently. They've been the best defense in the league since Garland and Mobley went down. Of course, Mobley's back now. And I think, isn't Garland playing tonight?
I don't know. I saw all that stuff came out about his jaw being wired shut and all this stuff. I don't know when he was back. I just saw like the crazy like rundown of like all his.
He's back tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and Mobley isn't playing for rest in the second game back. So they haven't had both of them back yet. But in the time between last game and when those two guys left, which was start of December, Mobley got hurt, I think, against the Magic on the 6th of December. And then Garland was a few games later against the Celtics. But since that point, they were the best defense in the league without Mobley, who's a top 3 depoy guy, because Jared Allen was locking down in the paint. You know, we both know he was playmaking a lot more than usual because we were, you know, putting some parlays on his dimes. So he's been great. Like if they put him on here, I think it's fine. Like if he ends up making it on here, I like that for sure.
Yeah, I could just see like if they want to pick like a traditional big, since you know Randall and Embiid are, you know, pretty, you know, more like 4 or 5. If they wanted, that was a rationale in picking a replacement, I think he would be the next guy if they went that route. I do think probably Scotty or Trey probably would get on next, but if they were going by position, I think Allen would be the guy that would get picked from the big man position. I don't think there's another one that I could think of that.
Not really. Like maybe like Porzingis perhaps.
Yeah.
Could maybe be involved, but I know he's missed a good bit of time with some injuries on and off. But really outside of that, like I don't think there are many other players that are going to compete with those guys. Like the Eastern Conference doesn't have as many snubs as the West does. The West is like crazy with the East. I think they got it right outside of Trae Young. Like I would have liked to see Trae Young on here, but it's hard when Dame ends up as a starter, and I don't even know if he should be in the game in general. That makes it more difficult. If you get Trae Young on here, I think they did a pretty good job. In the Western Conference, it's definitely more difficult.
Did they have Jaylen Brown as a guard or a wing?
He's a wing on there, I believe. Yeah, because they've got 3 guards. So thank God they have him as a wing player because he is not a guard, and I thought they were going to do that. But yeah, they got Bam, Paolo, Jaylen Brown as the front court backups, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell as the backcourts, and then Randall makes it on as well as a wild card. So,
yep, I was just wondering because if they had Brown in as like a guard, I was just like, I think Trae Young probably should have been there over him too. But
yeah. And I know some people have been mad about Jaylen Brown. JB's been really good this season. Now I'm pretty sure he's having a really rough game right now.
He had an absolute stinker tonight against Lakers. I'll pull up the stat line real quick, but
okay.
Let's see. Which the Lakers are currently up 11 on the Celtics without LeBron and AD. Jalen, he's on triple-double watch. He's got a very Ben Simmons-esque stat line. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 4 of 12, -20. Team low.
Jesus Lord. Oh, by the way, shout out to Ben Simmons who came back. Shout out to him.
Yeah, I don't know how he played his second game, but his first game was pretty good.
He hasn't played
last
since
night. Did he play last night against Phoenix?
No, I think he banged his knee towards the end of the game, so they just sat him out for precautionary reasons.
Oh, wait, you mean towards the end of the first game?
The first game, yeah. First game, he didn't play after that one.
Yeah, he didn't play last night. Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, I think we kind of just as our like kind of wrap up. I think so. Trae Young probably snubbed. We think Scotty and Allen are kind of like outside looking in from that big position that, you know, might sneak on. And the West, just Fox from the guard standpoint, and then from the wings big standpoint, you know, we talked about a bunch of guys. You know, there's Şengün, there's Sabonis. Should Gobert have been on there over Towns?
Robert Markkanen,
got an all-star. You know, it definitely feels like you were saying, there's more arguments for the West in terms of big men, and then for East, it seems like it was like the guards that were more of a conversation.
Yeah, I think they got the East pretty much right. I mean, in the Western Conference, it's exactly what I picked outside of Cat. If they put a King on there, I think they would have done a pretty good job. I don't think it's that bad. To me, it's just that the NBA is so stacked right now. It's hard to pick these all-star spots. Like, imagine if John Morant was healthy. You like what would
Kyrie
you have
was
done?
Healthy.
Yeah, like what would you have done with the guard spot? It would have been absurd. So it's just tough. If you ask me, I think they need to expand the roster to 15. That's something that I've been asking for a little while.
I would rather just do that than do like this reserves nonsense. I'd rather just have them 15 players straight up and then not pick reserves. You know what I mean? Because they end up picking 1 or 2 usually anyways. So I would rather than just do that.
Yeah, I'm with that. But okay, so those are our thoughts on the All-Star reserves and starters, just general All-Star rosters. Let us know what you think about the teams who got snubbed, who's your biggest snub, and yeah, we can go and move on now to where is Derek White. I know Reggie Miller is going to be disappointing. Derek White could have gotten consideration, but he's not better than the guards that we mentioned. Like, he doesn't have a leg up on Trae Young. But okay, we can go ahead now and move into trade deadline talk. Let's talk about that.
Talk about the trade that happened tonight.
That's true. We did get a trade tonight. Let me go ahead and pull that up on the shared screen real quick. So we can
one of the trades of all time.
It is a trade. It's a trade that happened. But yeah, let's go over to Woj and let me pull this up.
It's funny because that trade happened, and then like an hour later, I don't know if we have any baseball fans, but the Orioles acquired like a former Cy Young winner in Corbin Burns. I'm like, dang, that's a huge, like that's like a league changing trade in baseball. And then we had this trade in the NBA like just a few minutes earlier. That's not as league changing, but it doesn't even, neither of these players are even playing this year, which I think is hilarious.
Hey, don't talk about two Thunder legends like that.
But why don't you go ahead and break it down for us and why these teams did it?
Yeah, so the Grizzlies are trading Steven Adams to the Rockets in exchange for Victor Oladipo and 3 second-round picks. Rockets' perspective, I get it. They've been looking for a backup big. They want somebody physical. It doesn't seem like there's that much of a big man market out there at the moment, maybe not for what the Rockets are willing to give up. Ryan said there was a report that I didn't even see because I was doing a live stream during the All-Star Reserve stuff, but there was a report from Mark Stein, right?
I think it was Mark Stein.
Okay, I think it was Mark Stein that Robert Williams was apparently someone discussed between the Rockets and the Blazers. Both those guys are out for the season in Steven Adams and Robert Williams. I imagine the Blazers probably wanted a little bit more for Rob Will than maybe the Rockets were willing to give up. Because, I mean, see, when Steven Adams comes back, this is a pretty decent give. Like, you didn't have to give up too much. Oladipo is really never going to play for you. 3 second-round picks is kind of nothing in today's NBA. And Adams is that physical, bruising center that I think the Rockets are kind of looking for. That defensive guy can set some hard, big body screens for them as well. I don't get it as much from the Grizzlies' perspective. Like, maybe they're a little bit concerned about Adams' knee. They just want to shed some salary. Oladipo's contract is going to be off the books.
I told
3
you
second-round picks. Why'd they do it?
They think Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to start the 5 next year.
They better not, because that would be a disaster. I would hate that. And that's my thing. I don't know who starts at the center for them next year. Like, do they have another move up their sleeve, like something else that they're eyeing? They're like, okay, this to me, it's probably that this season is lost. Let's just go ahead and make some moves now for next season. They can look for a center in the offseason, get rid of Steven Adams' money, get some more draft capital. That's, to me, probably what I would imagine they're looking at. Adams is going to be out the rest of the year for the Rockets, but like Woe says below, they believe he can bring some toughness and leadership, and he can impact the game in a limited role behind Şengün. I think that's perfectly fine. So, yeah, it's one of the trades of all time. It doesn't move the needle that much. I mean, he's not going to play this season. Neither of these guys will. I understand it for the Rockets. From the Grizzlies' perspective, I think another move is coming behind that.
Is Oladipo out for the year, or was he just going to miss most of the year?
I don't.
Not that he would play probably anyways if he was cleared, but, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at with his injury. Let me go to the news surrounding him. It's all just going to be the trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the news. Because I don't really know what his status is.
I was wondering just because Memphis has like a very young team and like they don't really have any guard bench depth outside of like Derrick Rose. So I was wondering if they picked up him and they were going to maybe let him play like the last month or two of the season to see if what he had left, if he could be an impact for them next year. That was my only thought in terms of like him as the player. But if he's out for the year, then I know it was a pretty intense surgery he had, but I thought because it happened so didn't it happen like April or March?
It was I think it was right before the playoffs for the Heat.
Yeah.
Maybe it was right before the playoffs.
I thought maybe his timeline was coming up relatively soon, but I don't know.
It says he is unlikely to play much of 2023-2024 amid knee injury. That was a report back from October. So
okay. Yeah. Oh, maybe not.
Maybe he won't play, but yeah, it's a trade. So okay, let's go ahead and move on now to some of the rumors. And there is one that is circulating Twitter and dominating it at the moment, coming from none other than NBA insider David Pingalore.
That's my goat right there. Screw Woj and Shams. That's my goat.
If you don't know that name, I don't blame you. So there was this report that came today from a guy named Dave Pingalore, who is a guy who reports from Jacksonville, covered LeBron. He's apparently gotten some stuff right. I saw some screenshots that back in 2012, 2 years before he went back to the Cavaliers, he reported that LeBron James could be eyeing a return to Cleveland in a couple of years. He got the Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers stuff right, apparently, before a lot of other people did. It seems like he knows a little bit. And he's saying, hearing from NBA people, King James, LeBron is at the top of the Lakers list to trade. Pelinka is looking for the right team to dance with and is close to a suitor. LBJ and AD both out tonight. And then, of course, all the comments are like, come to New York and did a quick Photoshop for the Cavaliers. People are looking to see if LeBron's actually getting traded. Now, if you ask me, there's a 99% chance he's not getting traded. If he got traded, I would be stunned. But It's fun to think about the idea of them saying, okay, this thing's not working. We're not very good. LeBron did tweet out, and I think it's his last tweet. If I go ahead and pull up his Twitter. Nope.
No, his last tweet was his
DraftKings
sponsor.
But he did tweet this out. Let's go LeBron as the clip, as you can see down here. He did tweet out an hourglass emoji, which we don't know what that means. Does it mean he's, going, or like it's just, oh, the trade deadline's coming up? Is it just a mysterious thing? Is this him trying to put some pressure on the front office? Could this be Darvin Ham's time as a coach running out?
Or
maybe
the time that his DraftKings sponsorship tweets coming.
That's true. This could also mean
he was just like stirring the pot, so everyone was like on LeBron. Then he tweeted out his sponsorship.
Low key probably was that, but it's interesting. So, do we think Dave Pingalore knows anything?
No.
No, Ryan's not a believer in Dave Pingalore.
What about you?
Not really. I feel like if there's a LeBron, to me, the only way the Lakers trade LeBron is if he requests a trade. I don't imagine he's doing that right now.
Where would you want to see him?
Oklahoma City.
Philadelphia.
Outside of the Thunder, I can't lie, him and Steph Curry would be kind of fun if somehow a trade happened to the Golden State Warriors. Now, the question is, what does LeBron get them on the market, even if he was available? Because he's 39 years old, he's expiring, and it seems like he might leave wherever he goes next to go play with Bronny, depending on where he gets drafted. So what team is even making that deal?
Miami Heat.
The Miami Heat do make sense.
LeBron and Jimmy and Bam, it'd be kind of tough.
It does make sense. I can't lie. It would be kind of tough. The Knicks, they've been looking for a star trade to make.
We got any more Photoshops?
Oh, him in a Cavs jersey. Here's a Thunder jersey here.
See.
People saying Blazer. Him and Steph Curry there.
Yeah.
Come play with Embiid, King.
Embiid's currently not playing. So.
Yeah. He would be playing with Tyrese Maxey.
And Tobias Harris.
But, it's interesting. So this is David Pingalore is currently all around Twitter. I saw, what's his name? The guy that does the Ball podcast. I'm forgetting what his name is.
Oh, Trill Bro, dude.
Yeah. I saw him put out an edit of the, the He's Done Miracles on Me, like Kanye soundbite and it was over just random pictures of David Pingalore. So people are starting to believe in this guy. And, I hopped on the train. I tweeted out a Photoshop of LeBron James in a Thunder jersey. I don't think he's getting traded. I don't think there's a lot to this rumor, but it's very interesting. In a deadline and I made a full video about this, seemingly isn't going to be very star-studded. Stuff like this is fun. So
did you make a video yet? Like a clickbait LeBron video? Like LeBron James getting traded ? Like if you both.
I did not. I could, if I need something the next few days, I could talk about the David Pingalore.
If nothing happens tonight, that would low-key be a good video.
I might make like an all-star reserve reaction video tomorrow, but I could also, shout out to the GOAT David Pingalore.
That'd be good clickbait. I feel like LeBron. What is LeBron James's next team? And you have like him, like OKC, Miami. You know what I mean?
I do the what does he know meme format with David Pingalore's face in the center of the thumbnail with LeBron on the side.
Could be kind of fun. How many followers does that KTLA sports account have? I'm just curious.
Almost a million.
Nine. And what about the other one? Like the sports page?
David Pingalore's got connections. The sports page, 660, much less.
Yeah. Wait, they retweet his stuff too? Wait, go back to that. They're out here retweeting his stuff.
They haven't done anything since October.
He's got a video. He has a video of Harden though. Like he took that video, so he's gotten in.
So he does do things. Yeah, he's got a video with Harden.
He's just tweeting out of his ass, man.
If something happens with LeBron, David Pingalore will be an NBA Twitter legend forever.
Dude's name is AI generated.
Shout out the Ping God. Okay. Let's go ahead now and move on beyond the LeBron stuff to general trade deadline things. I figured we could go through, and Ryan and I were talking about how to go over this. We could just talk about kind of a little bit of every team and kind of what we've heard about them, what some of the rumors are, maybe trades that we could see being made. We did just get a report that the Brooklyn Nets, or there's a list coming from someone who works at, I think it's the New York Post, about teams that have shown interest in a couple different players for the Brooklyn Nets. So I guess we can start with them because they seem like a player at the deadline. There was a report today that Nick Claxton may be available. It's kind of a question mark, but if he's available, that's a guy I'd love for the Thunder to go out there and get. Really, any team. If Claxton is available, I would for sure be hitting up Brooklyn's line. The reasoning they would trade him is because he's up for an extension or he's going to be heading into restricted free agency. Maybe they don't want to pay him that much. So that's interesting. I like him a lot as a Thunder. Speaking of the Thunder, other teams showing interest in Brooklyn Nets guys. For Dorian Finney-Smith, apparently the Lakers, Mavs, Bucks, Thunder, Suns, and Kings have shown interest. And then for Royce O'Neal, the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Timberwolves, the Suns, and the Kings. I feel like they're kind of the wild card at the deadline. Like a lot of the role players that I think we see moved include like Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, maybe a Claxton, maybe a Spencer Dinwiddie. He could potentially be moved. I would love to see Mikal Bridges get traded. I don't think it's going to happen. Same thing with Cam Johnson. But they've got some pieces that could be moved. So the Nets are interesting to me. And I mean, I'd like Dorian Finney-Smith on the Thunder. We got another report that they apparently turned down 2 first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith, which feels crazy to me if that is the case. But yeah, that's kind of it for the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. I think anything else you want to mention about Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think with Brooklyn, it's just like they, at the very least, they need to trade off these like older guys. Like there's no way that Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal and these types of guys, those guys should not be on the roster post deadline. You know what I mean? I feel like they don't have like, would be cool and fun and chaotic to see them trade, you know, Bridges and Cam Johnson. Does that probably make sense for the future? Yeah. But I think at the very least, they should leave the deadline with a couple first-round picks from, you know, O'Neal and Claxton potentially and Finney-Smith. I mean, and then maybe like trade Seth Curry. Or no, Seth Curry's not on the Nets. What team is Seth Curry on?
Maverick. He's a Maverick.
I'm thinking of their team from last season. I almost said Patty Mills too. I'm just thinking of the back of their bench. I'm just thinking of the Nets back of their bench from last year.
Hey, bro, the Nets have changed so much in the past.
Their bench has just been a rotating door.
Yeah,
that's like hard to keep up. But just any player on the Nets that like isn't one of Bridges or Johnson, or I guess Ben Simmons because nobody's going to want him. They should look into trading.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, I'm not really a huge fan of what the Nets are doing right now. If I were them, I'd trade away a bunch of these pieces. So we'll see what they do. But beyond the Brooklyn Nets, we can just go down the standings, I guess, and talk about some of these teams. Boston up first. They're probably not going to do too much. I feel like they're more of a buyout team. I can see them grabbing.
They definitely need to make the roster deeper because, like a night like tonight, like where they're. Did they lose to the Lakers? Did we get the final?
They did. They lost to the Lakers, yeah.
Wow. Like a night where they lose to the Lakers, like
they were 15.5-point favorites tonight, by the way.
Holy moly. But it's just like their team, they definitely need some depth because there's guys on the bottom of their bench like you've never even heard of. I don't know if any of you used a real app, but for some reason, my boy Peterson, was Dan Peterson? Is that his name?
Drew Peterson.
Drew Peterson had 1,000 comments on the real app. If you don't use the real app, it's a pretty cool sports app where people comment on like, you know, how people are doing. But they just have their end of the roster, just a bunch of nobodies. Like it'd be nice for them to round out the roster, have some guys that can plug in when a guy like Jaylen Brown or Tatum or Derek White, because they were all kind of having bad games tonight. It'd be nice to have some more, you know, role players that can plug in there against a, you know, a shorthanded Lakers team where you don't really need your best guys playing their best to beat them, you would think. Mm-hmm. So I just think maybe making that roster a little deeper would really help them. And like you said, it's probably going to have to be the buyout market because they don't have really any assets to trade or any money to spare.
Yeah, not really much of anything.
Oh, wait, do they have a trade exception from Grant Williams?
They do have a trade exception, and I think they have a couple second-round picks. I think it's like a 12, 14-ish mil. Like, they've got some space. The problem is they don't really have first-round picks to give up. It would have to be, like, seconds.
Or they took in someone making a lot of money just that, like I was saying, like, they took in a contract to, you know, improve their depth since they have the trade exception. Like
yeah, they could do a salary dump. I don't remember how big it actually is. I think it's right around that range.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, so the Boston Celtics, they're just looking for upgrades with the bench. The Bucks, similar situation, except they have even less assets than the Celtics do. Don't have a trade exception. The only thing they could do to make any type of money up is package together Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis. I don't think they're going to do that. To me, the Bucks are probably just another buyout team. I don't even know if they make a deal. Maybe something really small, but beyond that, I don't see them doing much.
They could trade Beauchamp if a team was like interested. Beauchamp and some salary filler. But
yeah, because I don't know if he's ever going to see the light of day again with Doc Rivers as the coach.
Oh my God, that man is going to be banished to the shadow realm. I didn't even think about that. Good thing the Bucks don't have many young players, but poor Andre Jackson and Marshawn Beauchamp, man, they already didn't play a ton. Now
they will never play again. I want to look at how many players did they play last night? They played 10. Like they've got Crowder back, Campaign.
Oh, dude, Doc Rivers is going to play the crap out of Jay Crowder. He's going to be getting 30 minutes a night now.
He played 18 last night. Jay Crowder does feel like a player that Doc Rivers would love and play way more than maybe he should at this point. All right, next up.
Actually, I'm going to say something. I think PJ Tucker ends up back there.
PJ Tucker does feel like a guy.
I think he's going to end up there in Miami, I believe.
He does feel like he'd go for a reunion.
Maybe he makes on a reunion, but that's the only other place I can think of.
The Knicks are the 3 seed right now. They just won, by the way. So I think they're only half a game back to the 2 seed. They've been on fire as of late. I won 9 in a row. I could see them making a move, but I feel like OG kind of was their move. I could see them making something smaller happen. Like apparently Quentin Grimes is on the market. So I could see them dealing Quentin Grimes to a different team to just add a little bit. Plus they've got Fournier's contract that maybe they're still looking to get rid of. I don't know if there's anything big coming for the Knicks, but I would be surprised if they didn't make some type of smaller move, probably involving Quentin Grimes. But I mean, with OG, like they're killing it right now. They've won 9 in a row. Don't want to shake it up too much. You can get Mitchell Robinson back. Maybe you get a little bit of big man help because
that was what I was going to say. Was maybe they
they've had to again sign Taj Gibson.
He's inevitable.
Taj Gibson if there's one thing Taj Gibson is going to do, he's going to stay having a job under Tom Thibodeau. No matter where he's at, what he's doing, how old he is, he will have a job with Tom Thibodeau. And I think that's amazing. So that's kind of it for the Knicks. The Cavaliers, team that is also doesn't have a lot of assets. Maybe LeBron, but they're also on fire right now. I think they've taken the lead over the Grizzlies as we're recording this. They were down a little bit earlier. Yeah, they're up 96-92 5 minutes ago. Probably going to win. Also up there in the top 4 in the East right now. They're finally getting healthy. I could see them making a move for maybe a little bit of depth. I just don't love some of their bench pieces. I think they could use somebody off the bench that can create a little bit more, like a bench guard. Craig Porter's played for them at points, but he's not, he's young. He's not super reliable quite yet. I would like to see them add some more depth at the big man position too, really just all around. Because I mean, Tristan Thompson was apparently on PEDs, so he's not playing anymore. But yeah, just kind of touching up the edges a little bit for them. Next team we have are the Sixers. I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what the Sixers should do? What are they going to do?
Well, the report was, I don't remember who reported, but somebody said that the Sixers don't plan on changing their trade deadline approach, even if, Embiid is out long-term, which I think is really interesting. Mm-hmm. But I think if Embiid is out long-term and the Sixers kind of feel like they just kind of want to see how it goes, then trading some of these like role players for maybe some assets for the offseason wouldn't be a bad idea. But I just think it's been nonstop, just like we're going to trade Morris, Covington, and somebody else and try to bring in someone that matches the salary. Like that's kind of what it's been like. Other than that, we don't really have much going for us. Like Jaden Springer's kind of looked nice recently. If we can get a team to bite on Paul Reed's upside, because he's been playing pretty good without Embiid. So just like I don't even know, can we trade him because we just signed him back? I don't know how that works.
Paul Reed, yeah, it's been because I think the deadline for a lot of like recently signed players or extended guys, it's either did he receive another offer and y'all matched it?
Yeah.
He might not be able to be traded then. I think sometimes if you match an offer, you can't trade them for the first year, or you might be able to, but I think they have to like okay it. I think they get like a no trade clause for the first year. There's some rule with that. Okay.
But basically it just seems like the Sixers, that's really all they got going for them is salary matching and then like trading a youngish player. But I don't know, man. It's really tough because they put out this huge ambiguous cloud of what's going to happen with Embiid, and that's the classic Sixers, medical staff right there is just being like, oh well, we'll see.
Something's wrong with his knee. We'll figure out what happens.
But it's just like clockwork, man. I feel bad. Embiid's going to probably not get surgery until the offseason. He's going to nurse it, come back, have like a couple good games, and then have 1 or 2 playoff stinkers, and everyone's going to say, oh, I told you Embiid can't play in the playoffs. He's only good against bad teams. And the dude's playing on one knee again for like the 4th playoffs in a row. So I don't know, man. It's tough because I would say get him some help, but Tobias's money's off the books. If you want to maybe do something with that, I don't know. But it's very weird with Embiid's injury. And
yeah, I think it's probably going to be
like the 5th seed. So I don't know.
It's probably going to be pretty quiet for the Sixers.
Yeah,
if I had to guess. Okay. Next up in the standings, we have the Pacers, a team that also has kind of made their big move already with the Siakam deal.
I think they'll probably
I don't really see them doing much of anything.
Unless maybe they trade off like a Buddy Hield. Like I know he's been playing.
Hield does feel like if they're going to move one substantial piece, it does feel like it'll probably be Hield. But I also feel like they might keep him just because they're playing well right now. I mean, I know at the beginning of the season, there was the report that he kind of wanted out, but with them playing so good, I don't know if he wants that anymore.
I could also see a team biting on TJ McConnell because he was playing really well when Tyrese Halliburton was out. So if a team is like willing to give up some assets for like a backup point guard, because I mean it's Halliburton and Nembhard, and like that's kind of like their 1-2. And so if a team's like, we'll give you a couple seconds for TJ, and they're like, well, TJ's our 3rd string point guard, we'll take some assets for that.
The future Celtic.
I know, and also know you wish Jarris Walker ended up being a Thunder.
I do wish that happened. That would be nice.
I don't think he's getting moved, but
free Jarris Walker. How much did he play tonight?
Did he play tonight? Is the question.
He didn't. We don't talk about it. Sickening. Okay, moving on now to the Miami Heat. Made a deal with Terry Rozier coming into town. They've been really bad before that deal, and since that deal, they finally got a win last night. But they're in kind of a limbo because they also don't have a lot of assets to make moves. It feels like they want to pursue a star player like they tried to with Dame. We don't know if, any stars could come along for them. There was rumors about maybe like a DeJounte, but I don't know. I think the Heat probably stand kind of pat and just try to figure this thing out like they typically do.
Or they pull out some crazy thing and they trade Hero for Levine or DeRozan. But
I could also see that. I could see a crazy move involving Hero, but they've been so stubborn to move him. I don't know if they're going to do it now. I don't know.
We'll see.
The Orlando Magic, another team probably not going to do too much. I could see them maybe moving off of maybe like a Markelle Fultz or Wendell Carter Jr. Those are two pieces I think have popped up in rumors at one point or another that I could see them trading, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy.
So. We talked about it in the offseason where we were both kind of surprised. They just have so many guards on the roster. Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris. It just seems like they have an infinite amount of guards. I might even be forgetting some more, but you would think maybe they would move from that and try to improve elsewhere, or maybe just combine that and get either some flexibility with money or, improve another area of the team. I think 3-point shooting, was a thing that they talked about.
Their 3-point shooting is so bad.
Yeah. Which, I know Gary Harris is supposed to be a 3-point shooter, but who knows? Maybe they go for some 3-point shooting. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, I can see them adding some shooting. Maybe they move on, especially with the emergence of Jalen Suggs as like a guard of the future. It feels like they don't really have a need for Markelle Fultz anymore, who plays kind of a similar role, but doesn't fit it as well as Suggs does. Mm-hmm. So I could see Fultz being moved. Like Wendell Carter Jr., they play perfectly fine without him, so I wouldn't be surprised if they moved him. I mean, like Goga's been amazing, especially with his rim protection, just his all-around defense down low this season. So I would imagine the Magic probably move off of at least one of those pieces to probably prioritize shooting, but we'll have to see. Okay. The Chicago Bulls, one of those teams that it feels like probably aren't really going to do anything, even though they should. There was a report that came out today that there's a likely chance they're going to stand pat. Shams was over on Kenny's podcast, and he said on there that if he had to give it a percentage chance that the Bulls make any type of deal, it's 50-50 at the deadline, which it should not be the case. It
should be a lot higher than that.
They should be trading everybody. Levine, DeRozan. Well, Levine's hard because it doesn't seem like anybody wants him. But anybody that they're receiving calls for, they should be trading away. Alex Caruso, they could probably get like 2 first-round picks for him, and they're probably going to hold on to him. It's just a cycle with the Bulls where it feels like this is the 30th deadline in a row where, hey, maybe you should consider blowing it up, and they're just not going to do it.
The hard part is they're in the playoffs right now. Aren't they the 9 seed or the 8 seed?
They are. Yeah, they're a playing team at the moment. So it gives them false hope. And this is what I talked about in my video today when I went over why the trade deadline is probably going to be quieter. I think with the plan and also just the fact that the Heat and the Lakers made the runs they did last year, I feel like so many teams have false hope at this point. They're like, oh, they did it. Why can't we? Like, all we have to do is get healthy. All we have to do is make it in. No, there's like no teams right now that are the Heat or the Lakers from last season.
Unless they make a blockbuster top end playoff talent where these teams do not have that. Like they have the playoff risers, like LeBron AD or playoff risers. Jimmy Butler's a playoff riser. Mm-hmm. I don't no, nothing against DeMar, who, got owned in the playoffs for years, or Zach LaVine, who nobody even wants him right now, but it just doesn't seem like they're going to make that type of run with that roster.
Hey, Kobe White. Your guy,
dude,
Kobe White.
Balling, man. Dude, trade Kobe White for 3 firsts. Screw it.
Now, Kobe's the future. The Atlanta Hawks. DeJounte Murray. Yeah, it's DeJounte Murray is the big news. It feels like he's probably going to be traded, although there was a report yesterday that Quinn Snyder was lobbying for the Hawks not to trade him, which stop Quinn. Please let deals happen. But I do think DeJounte Murray gets moved. Lakers seem like the biggest possibility. I know like the Knicks were mentioned at one point. I know y'all were mentioned. I don't think you make that deal now with the Embiid stuff in limbo. I know the Heat were mentioned at one point. Like there have been a lot of teams that have been mentioned as DeJounte Murray landing spots. Even Milwaukee wants to go after him, which they don't have the assets. So I don't know. It's interesting. DeJounte, I think, could fit a number of spots. Some spots aren't as good as others. But he is the big fish on the market right now. If there's any big name or the name that's probably going to be the biggest one traded, it'll probably be DeJounte Murray. So
I would be interested for the Hawks to see them trade away Capella and let Okongwu actually get full starter minutes at center, which I think they finally got off John Collins, and now look at Jalen Johnson, rising to the player he is right now.
Yeah, MIP guy.
I just think that maybe trading away Capella and letting Okongwu get 30 to 35 minutes a game, just see what you got, would be pretty interesting to see. I mean, you spent a high first round pick on him. It'd be interesting to see, finally give him an extended run.
Yeah, and also like a Bogdan Bogdanovic is a.
I was thinking about that name too. He would be good for a playoff team.
Yeah, it was. I was doing a stream talking about trades that the Warriors could make, and it was like, theoretically, if we're willing to trade Klay Thompson, I think a deal where you trade Klay to them in exchange for like Bogdan and DeJounte Murray, there would be draft capital involved as well. But a deal where maybe, Klay refines some rhythm next to Trae Young, and he could be theoretically, he's a perfect fit if you get the ideal version of Klay next to Trae. He's older and he's not quite the defender he was, so I don't love it. But I could see a deal like that happening if we were talking about some insane deal that happened. Yeah, something insane happening. I could see something like that. I don't think it's going to happen. Just want to throw it out there.
Because the Warriors trading away Klay would be nuts.
It would. If there was a crazy thing to happen, them trading away Klay Thompson would be like the big league-breaking type news. We talked about the Brooklyn Nets already, so we'll skip them. We don't really have to talk about a lot of these last teams. Like the Raptors, they kind of already traded guys away. I could see them trading like Gary Trent Jr., Jakob Poeltl, Dennis Schroeder. Fly in my face. This fly has been around my desk all day. I can see them trading away more pieces, but for the most part, I think they're probably done. Bruce Brown as well. He's an interesting piece on the market. I keep forgetting he's even there.
Yeah.
And then like the Hornets, PJ Washington, Nick Richards, guys like that seemingly are available. Gordon Hayward, potentially.
Miles Bridges had a good couple past games. I could see them maybe trying to sell high on him.
Yeah, apparently the Suns are interested in Miles Bridges. I could see something like that happening. The Wizards, Gafford, Tyus Jones.
Trade them all away.
Yeah, just trade guys away. The Pistons, maybe Bojan Bogdanovic. There was a report at one point that they were interested in Zach LaVine, but the Bulls want like Cade or Asar or something like that. No, don't do that. But yeah, so those are the Eastern Conference teams. Moving over to the West. Let's start we can start from the bottom or I guess we can start from the top so I can just go over the Thunder real quick. The Wolves are at the top spot in the West. I don't think they do anything too crazy. Like all their first round picks were tied up in the Gobert trade. And I mean, they're the 1 seed right now. I think they probably don't want to mess with that. I would like to see them add some more scoring of some kind.
Off the bench.
Yeah, the offense is really stagnant. They probably need some scoring off the bench. Like, I don't think there's any way they can make the money work, but like Bogdan would be amazing on this team. Clarkson would be really good on this team as well. Just anybody who can get you buckets off the bench is
I agree.
The archetype. For the Thunder, I don't think we're going to make a big time trade. I don't really know if we should make one because we're playing so well right now, have been great all season. The one thing I do want to see is a big man. I want to see us grab another big and probably like a bigger wing if we can do that as well. Like I would like Dorian Finney-Smith in terms of like guys over in the Eastern Conference. PJ Washington is someone I like. Nick Richards, like a deal with those two guys coming over. I wouldn't hate that at all. We have Davis Bertans at $17 million, which I think is what we end up using. From the Brooklyn Nets, I would love Nick Claxton. I would really like Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Royce O'Neal, any of those guys. Not really a fan of like Drummond. A lot of Thunder fans have been like, oh, we need rebounding. We should get Drummond. I don't want Drummond on this team. He does not fit our play style at all. All he does is rebound. He doesn't stretch the floor for Shea. Like doesn't handle the ball like we like most of our players on the roster to do. It's not good. He physically is able to handle the ball. You're right. But it's very not pretty, flashback to that clip of him on the Cavaliers with maybe the worst ISO attempt I've ever seen. So I don't really like the idea of Drummond. I like the idea of like a Wendell Carter potentially. Kelly Olynyk is one of my favorite fits on the market for the Thunder. I really like him as a backup big. So just any of those names, like just a backup big and a bigger wing to go with this team, some veteran experience on the roster, and I'm good to go. I don't need us to make a splash at the deadline. I don't think anybody's available that's worth us pursuing as like the big splash for this team. Like Lauri Markkanen's not available. A lot of Thunder fans are like, we have to go out there and get Lauri Markkanen and make this big time splash. You have to take advantage of this window. We're still really young. We can do all that in the offseason when players are actually available. But for now, let this thing ride, grab some complementary pieces, see what you can do. Even if you like lose in the second round, it's not the end of the world.
I agree.
For the Clippers, we'll see what happens with PJ Tucker. Not a lot of other stuff going on for them, really. Like, I mean, they're playing like the best team in the league right now.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they trade away a lot of their depth, like to us. When they traded for Harden, but it still seems like they're a pretty deep team. Like they have a pretty set unit right now. Their star power.
Daniel Tice has been great as a pickup for them.
Dude, that's hilarious, man. He might be stealing minutes away from the other guys like Plumlee and and Zubac once everyone's back in the rotation. I could see Daniel Tice because he fits perfectly amongst those guys. You know what I mean? I think he's the perfect player to surround them.
Yeah, I would like to see them just if they could pick up like some wing depth because it's not the best right now. Like PJ doesn't play. They've got Norman Powell, but he plays a bit of 2, a bit of 3 here and there. Like if they could grab one of those bigger wing type of players, like a Royce O'Neal would be perfect for this team.
Yeah,
if they could pull something like that off. But outside of that, like I don't think they have many moves they need to make. Just add one complimentary piece if you can.
Yeah.
Next team are the Nuggets. I don't think the Nuggets make a trade. I think they probably stand pat.
I still think they need more bench depth, but
I would like to see them.
I've been harping on it forever.
Yeah, but. like a Royce O'Neal also for the Nuggets, I think makes sense.
Every team needs Royce O'Neal.
Every team needs Royce O'Neal.
Royce O'Neal. Everyone needs him.
Honestly, Alec Burks is a name that just came to mind that would be kind of interesting for the Nuggets.
Dude, him and Reggie Jackson make chaotic duo.
Both Pistons legends.
Yep.
But, I mean, the Nuggets are the champions. They're playing really well. I don't think they shake it up much. Probably just maybe add a veteran piece. Yeah, we'll see. I would like for them to add a backup big if they could.
I was going to say DeAndre Jordan needs to not be getting minutes.
DeAndre Jordan, Zeke Naji as like your backup bigs, and then Aaron Gordon as a small ball big. Don't love it. For the Kings, I really want to see if they can find some way. I want them to try and add like a Kuzma or Jeremy Grant.
Get Harrison Barnes out of town.
If they can find a replacement at the 4 spot, that to me is the ideal deadline for them. Bring in some defense and try and address that 4 spot because Barnes has been good. He's like playing like right now like he doesn't want to be traded. He had that 30 piece against the Warriors the other night. He has been hooping recently. I don't remember what he did last game.
I don't think he was as good.
9 points, 4 of 13 shooting, which is more often been the Harrison Barnes.
Didn't he have like back-to-back 30-point games and then the 9-pointer? Because I swear he had another really good game before that too.
He had 32 against the Hawks, 39 against the Warriors, which I believe is a career high. And then he had 20 points, 12 points, 9 points. So it's gone downhill since the Warriors.
Yo, how much money does Harrison Barnes make?
I think they gave him like 16 mil.
Hear me out. If he can find a way in the Heat, I like that for them.
Yeah, he's making 17 mil. It would be so hard for the Heat to pick him up.
I
would like him there.
If they trade away Tyler Hero and like more of like a bigger scheme of it, you know what I mean? Like a bigger
3-team deal, maybe.
I'm not saying like Hero for Harrison Barnes, but I'm just saying if for some reason they got some money available and because the Heat, we didn't really mention it too much, but they just need someone next to Bam so bad. Like no offense to Haywood Highsmith, man, but it just ain't it.
Yeah.
Get someone that can play with Jaime, Jimmy, Rozier, Bam, and I think you're cooking something up.
Yeah. So for the Kings, just address the 4 spot. That's really the weak point at the moment for the team. Okay. Did I get rid of the NBA standings? Oh no, I moved over to Harrison Barnes' contract. Let's go back over to those.
Same thing.
Yeah. Same thing. Phoenix Suns. Like we talked about, there was the rumor of the Miles Bridges trade that I've seen going around. If they could find a way to add any depth, that would be cool. Some defense. I mean, they're playing well right now. Like they're looking good. Grayson Allen's shooting like 50, 50, 90, which is absurd.
Dude, maybe he was an all-star snub.
Maybe Grayson Allen was. He's been a role player all-star this season. Like they're showing their potential. I still do want them to add more. Like I would like for them to get a more reliable big if they could. Like Nurkic has been up and down. Eubanks has not been good this season. If they could find a backup guy, I would like that. Just overall more depth for this team. That's kind of what they need. But they're playing better now. Just grab some more
I have
defense.
a video idea. If we get if like maybe we can make this for the All-Star break because there's like 3 or 4 days of no ball. Let's make an All-Star team of role players. Like we do a draft.
All-Star team.
Like we make a 10 or 12 man team and we'll just draft and we'll see and we'll let them pick who thinks they have the better team.
I like that. We'll do that.
We'll have to come up with some criteria. Like never made an All-Star team. Like
averaging maybe below a certain points per game,
maybe below 20 points per game. We'll do like a role player. That'd be kind of fun.
Okay, I'm down.
Like an all-star weekend content.
Let us know who would be on your role player all-star team. Okay, next one up is the Pelicans. The Pelicans are in a weird spot. There was a rumor about Herb Jones being available. I don't think he's actually going to get dealt. And outside of that, I don't know what they really do. Like this team is pretty solid. They could seemingly use another star type of player next to Brandon Ingram and Zion, but they don't have the assets to really go out there and get that. I mean, they do, like in Trey Murphy, but
they package like Trey Murphy, Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins. If they like,
if they really wanted to, they could go out and do that, but I don't think they will. Yeah,
yeah, and like you were saying, there's just not that guy really available. I don't think teams are at the door for Zach LaVine right now.
No. I would like to have them add some help in the backup big department. They don't really have someone reliable there at the moment.
It's Larry Nance.
Yeah, like Larry Nance is on the roster. Zeller, Najee Marshall, it can play bigger sometimes if you need him to, but he's not really made for that spot. So I'd like to see them add a little bit of big man help. I don't love Jonas as a long-term big man for this team. I think eventually they're going to move on from him. It's not really going to happen at the deadline, I don't think, but at some point. The Mavericks, they need defense of some kind. Don't know where it comes from, but they need it.
Here's the thing with the Mavericks. They need Dorian Finney-Smith, man.
You know what? They do. They do need Dorian Finney-Smith.
And I don't know if we shared this on the podcast or not, but Connor and I have both met relatives of Dorian.
We did, I think.
In like one way or the other. And when I met Dorian Finney-Smith, I'm not gonna like expose who told me, but you know, they were just like Dorian Finney-Smith was mad salty. Or no, I think he said, did I say he was? I think he was happy he got traded because he was happy he got traded out of Dallas because apparently there was just some shakeup in there after they traded away Dennis Smith Jr., which I thought was the most random thing ever, that there was like long-lasting chemistry issues in Dallas apparently because of Dennis Smith Jr. getting traded. So I thought that was really interesting. So, because I think I mentioned to who I was talking to, like, would you like to see him back in Dallas? He's like, nah, he doesn't want to go back. So,
yeah. So we don't know if he actually wants to be back. And it's funny because I also have run into a relative randomly of Dorian Finney-Smith, and they just mentioned to me that he didn't love it in Brooklyn because, you know, there was, at least this was last season. I don't know about now, but last season he wasn't happy with his minutes. He didn't love Jacques Vaughn as a coach. Yeah, that's stuff that I had heard from a relative of Dorian Finney-Smith.
Hard man to please.
I don't know why we have Dorian Finney-Smith sources out of everybody, but for some reason we just have both run into Dorian Finney-Smith relatives, so we have the scoop. If you want DFS news, we are the podcast for you.
Not Daily Fantasy Sports, by the way.
Nope. Dorian Finney-Smith news. But yeah, the Mavericks just need defense. They do need a player like that. I would still like to see them bolster up the big man position a little bit. You know, Derek Lively's been great, but he fouls a lot. He is young. I'd like to see them add another veteran big man.
He does hack, man.
Yeah, he hacks. The Los Angeles Lakers are kind of one of the, actually, before we get to the Lakers, let's go over a couple of teams because they're going to take forever. Let's talk about a couple of teams that probably won't do anything. Like the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, they made a trade today. That's probably going to be it. Maybe they add some pieces or do something similar today where
maybe
they just
trade
grab capital.
Maybe they trade like Luke Kennard.
I can see Kennard going.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Derrick Rose isn't playing, is he? Isn't he hurt? He's
been on and off hurt. I think he might be back or he's nearing a return.
They don't seem to have really anyone else that's not like a young player that might be like, they're not going to trade like Gigi Jackson or Vince Williams or any of these guys that have kind of emerged, you know?
Yeah, it's just going to be another kind of a season of waiting for the Grizzlies. It feels
maybe
like.
Xavier Tillman, if a team wants some big help.
I could see him getting moved. Yeah. That does leave them a problem with, you know, who plays center. Maybe it is Jaren for the rest of the season.
Jaren, man, they're going to try it for next year.
I guess there's a time to try it in now because they're not really playing for much at the moment.
Or Santi Aldama, he's like an interesting 3-and-D type of player.
Like, yeah, they've got some pieces that are interesting.
Maybe not 3-and-D, maybe more stretch 4. That's kind of what I was more alluding to. But he can shoot the ball a little bit, big man.
Yeah, you've got beyond the Grizzlies, the Blazers. Brogdon feels like a piece that could fit on a lot of different teams that I think a lot of fans are overlooking. Brogdon could be really good in a lot of different spots.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the impact when he went to Boston.
He's been great for Portland too so far. Yeah. Like, he's been fantastic. I don't know where he ends up because he's making quite a bit of money, but whatever team gets him, I think he'll be pretty good. So he's a piece to look out for.
What does he make?
I think he's making about 20 mil, which makes it hard.
Let
me look up his exact contract.
The Sixers trade back Marcus Morris and Covington for Brogdon.
Yeah, he's making $22.5 million.
Bro, not that I want them to do it, but you want to know a team that I could see doing it and it would be so disgusting? The Pistons.
They could totally do that. I could totally see
saying they want like a veteran ball handler to.
I would be heartbroken for Malcolm Brogdon if that's where he lands.
I don't want it to happen, but that would.
Don't put it out there because you're gonna make it happen, and poor Brogdon's gonna be forced.
Also, I'm gonna throw out another team, which I'm gonna throw it out there in case it happens, and I think this would be league changing for them. Denver Nuggets get Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, I don't know. How do they make that money work? I'm trying to think of. I'm about to pull up the trade machine.
Yeah, I was gonna see maybe
a team I would like Brogdon a lot for the New York Knicks.
Oh, I do like that.
Evan Fournier's contract, Quentin Grimes would like him a lot over there. You put him as the sixth man for the Knicks.
Big fan.
They need another ball handler now that Quickly's gone. I would love Malcolm Brogdon as a Knick.
That's a good pickup. I like that. How could Denver make it work?
Not really. No. They don't have really a big trade exception they can use. Like KCP makes 14 mil and he's the lowest salary out of their top guys. They're not going to trade him. And below that, it's Reggie Jackson making 5 mil, Ignaji making 4. They just don't have the money to put together. It's a lot of young guys.
I tried Denver. I tried.
He tried to send it his biggest rival.
Why did I just get sent a Shams link? What just happened?
To clarify an earlier tweet, the team has not officially confirmed a tear for Joel Embiid, and he will remain out throughout the weekend while a treatment plan is finalized.
All right, Shams. All right, buddy.
So it's not a tear. It's or at least it's not been confirmed that it's a tear. Bless you.
Big sneezer.
Yeah, Ryan always sneezes like 3 to 6 times when he sneezes.
I thought about this the other night randomly. I don't think I've ever sneezed in the podcast until now.
That's a strange thing.
I mean, think about it.
You jinxed it.
I know.
You shouldn't have thought about it. For the Spurs, I don't think they'll really do anything. Maybe they move off of like Zach Collins.
Doug McDermott, get him out of there.
Doug McDermott, Jetty Osman. Not going to do too much. We talked about the Grizzlies a little bit already. The Blazers, the Spurs. The Rockets. They made a trade today. Yeah, apparently they're star hunting, and they added Steven Adams. So maybe that's their star.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was an all-star once, right? He was pretty good for the Thunder.
Almost might be a little bit of a stretch. He was good for us. He was. Shout out to Steve-O. But I don't think he's, I don't know what the Rockets are necessarily doing in terms of a star hunt. To me, it doesn't feel like the time to do that, especially when there's no stars on the market.
They gave Fred VanVleet $40 million. You're telling me that wasn't your star? Yeah,
that's true. The Rockets are kind of insane right now. Apparently, Ime Udoka is like dying to get another star in this team. Like he really, really wants them to do that. He's pushing for them to make the playoffs. I just don't think it's going to happen this season. So, but yeah, the Rockets want Mikal Bridges. He's not really available. Don't really see them doing anything too crazy at the deadline. Maybe another ball handler. They added a big, so I don't think they do anything else with that. The Utah Jazz could be sellers with like a Kelly Olynyk, like we talked about, maybe Jordan Clarkson, Taylor Horton-Tucker. I just don't see anything big happening with like a Lauri Markkanen or a Sexton, who are both really good for them.
I think they hold on to the young dudes.
Yeah, and that leads us to the last 2 teams in the Lakers and the Warriors, who are 2 of the bigger players in the market right now. For the Lakers, DeJounte Murray is kind of the guy. Like D'Lo feels like he's probably going to be gone if they make a deal, which sucks because D'Lo's been really good recently. He's put up a lot of like 30 pieces. I think he had like 15 or 12 dimes tonight. I didn't see the exact. I was watching him a good bit of tonight, and he was diming up. 14 assists. Neither one of those numbers I put out there, but he had 14 dimes tonight. He was playmaking really well. He's knocking down threes. It sucks that they have to trade him. Like he is the guy that's the salary matches up because he's been good, but I don't think they want to give up Reeves. Gabe Vincent doesn't have a lot of value. Maybe give up Rui. I don't know.
The thing with the Lakers that kind of like perplexes me a little bit is it seems like they find a new way to lose every night. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like one player would change the complete dynamic of the team. Like I don't know, man. You would think a team with LeBron and AD and a bunch of like solid-ish players would be really good. It just seems like they really haven't been able to find the consistent group of players ever since they broke up the finals team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been really searching for the reliable role players that they had in that run. Like they had KCP, Caruso, Kyle Kuzma was pretty reliable on that run as well. Like they had guys that they could count on. And now, like you said, since then, it feels like they're consistently trying to find guys where, D'Lo was pretty good for them in the regular season, and in the playoffs, he struggled in a couple of those series. Rui Hachimura had a lot of moments, some not so great moments in some other series. They just
Christian Wood's cryptic tweeting.
Yeah, Christian Wood tweeting out, like laughing. I think what he tweeted LOL after it was announced that he wasn't starting.
Yeah.
It just seems like they've really been trying to find those guys, and they can't really do it. Everybody either forgets how to shoot, gets injured, is a 3D guy that can't play defense or can't shoot the 3 all of a sudden. Cam Reddish, who can play defense but can't shoot the 3, and Darvin Ham loves. Darvin Ham as a head coach. I know Lakers fans desperately want him fired. Just a lot of inconsistency and continuity issues, I think, with the Lakers, which is a problem because when you have LeBron James and AD on the roster at the age that they are, you don't have a lot of time to waste. You've got to try and shake things up. So I think they do. I just don't really see I don't think there are moves out there that are going to turn this team into a championship contender. I just don't think they're out there.
A fun video would be to see if we can name every Lakers role player that has been in and out of that team since like their finals bubble run.
God,
I
that
feel
would
like
take
there'd be like
forever.
50 of them probably.
There was, because there was that one season where they were really bad and they had like like Isaiah Thomas, did they, for like a game? Like they had DeAndre Jordan in there. Tristan Thompson popped up at a random point.
Drummond was there.
Drummond was there.
JaVale
Maybe
was
they bring
there.
him back.
They've had
JaVale was
everyone, man.
Dwight Howard was there for the championship run.
Yeah.
Rondo, playoff Rondo was on that team. I can't believe Montrezl Harrell was a Laker. Dennis Schroeder was there a couple of times. Like, they've been doing a lot over there in LA.
There's been a lot of shuffling.
A lot. Probably shouldn't have just broken up the core. And finally, we have the Golden State Warriors. For them, the rumor is Wiggins is the main piece that they're looking to potentially move alongside maybe a Chris Paul. Klay Thompson, apparently they're fielding offers for him. Shams also said on Kenny's podcast today. The only guy they're not taking any offers on right now is Steph Curry. Everyone else, they'll at least listen. There's some guys who are more untradeable than others, but they're open to offers, which is not usually what we see from the Golden State Warriors. And I don't know. It's interesting. Like you said earlier, trading Klay Thompson would be huge league-breaking type news.
Feels like the Warriors are kind of going the Lakers route, where it's just like they've been trying to shake up their team and just try to find like what guys match and help the team. Like, like getting Chris Paul. It reminds me of like when the Lakers got Westbrook. It just kind of seems like they're trying to like keep the boy. Like for the Lakers, it's AD and LeBron, obviously, and then for the Warriors, it's like trying to keep Steph and Klay and those guys. It's just interesting how they keep trying like all these different players around them. Like the Warriors too, you can think back. They've had some like interesting pieces too. Like I was thinking about Kelly Oubre back on that team, JaMychal Green, Otto Porter. Like they've had a bunch of random role players too. Now they've got like Dario, like Alec Burks was there for a bit.
It was Glenn Robinson.
Yep. There's just been a lot of random role players. And I think it's hilarious too how like Trace Jackson Davis and Pods have been like really big contributors for them this year, like rookie, after they banished like Moody and Kuminga to the Shadow Realm for a bit. It's just,
and now finally Kuminga's playing.
Yeah, finally.
He's rolling out. Yeah, finally.
But it's just, and then like with the Wiseman failure, it's so crazy how like they've been trying so hard to do this like mixed timeline thing. I think it's finally starting to bite them in the ass a little bit.
Yeah, it hasn't really worked. Like they can move some of their young pieces and probably get stars, but a guy like Kuminga who's already playing really well and feels like he could be really good soon.
Yeah, Kuminga's the guy could be all-star a year or two if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah, like where do you find the balance? And it's hard with Steph Curry. Maybe at some point you have to move on from Steph Curry. I don't think they will. I think he'll be a Warriors lifer, but it is something that I think they'll at least consider, or it'll be a conversation we'll have to have coming up here soon.
I could see Steph's Warriors career kind of ending like how Kobe did with the Lakers, how they were just really bad with Kobe. I could see Steph kind of having the same career arc potentially, seeing how it goes.
Yeah, the hard part is like Kobe in those years wasn't great anymore. And like now with Steph Curry, he's still playing really, really well. It just isn't enough. Like they just don't have the pieces because the rest of the core around him is still here. Like Klay's still there. He's just regressed. Wiggins was huge for their team. He's fallen off a cliff, although he's played better late. Draymond Green is still pretty good. He's integral to their team, but he's not as good as he once was.
When he's not in counseling.
When he's not punching people in the face. So, yeah, I don't know. Weird stuff with the Warriors. But yeah, that's our quick trade deadline preview for all 30 NBA teams. Any other rumors or trades you'd like to see your team make or that you've heard, drop down below in the comments. And yeah, we'll be back again for the trade deadline on February 8th. Ryan's getting his wisdom teeth out, so hopefully he should be good to go by then. If not, it might be a couple of days later. We're going to have that other video coming out to y'all too as a bonus piece on the channel. Just giving y'all some more content with a game that Ryan drew up. It was really fun to play. Shout out to Ryan for setting that one up. Maybe we'll do more like that in the future if you like that too. But yeah, as always, we appreciate y'all tuning in to the two-man game. Good luck to your teams at the trade deadline. Also, let us know any all-star snubs down below in the comments too. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to think of something you could say. If you made it to the end, say good luck, Ryan, down below.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Something about that.
Make sure to let us know down below. And yeah, we appreciate y'all tuning in as always. Take care. Peace.